Hey everyone, welcome back to the realm. I'm Gina.
I'm still Rich.
I'm Jen.
I'm Rob.
I'm Amy.
And today we have with us a wonderful guest who we had the opportunity to meet when we were out in Scotland. So I'm going to read a quick little bio. We have Marquis H K. He is a published author, an accomplished traveler. He has previously been active in underground heavy metal and hardcore punk music scenes. I'm a punk girl at heart from back in the day. He's been featured in various forms of international media discussing dark tourism, mythical legends, and the paranormal. We're going to get to know him a lot more at the end of this show, but he's joining us for this conversation we're having today. So welcome, Marquis H K. Thank you so much for joining us from Scotland tonight.
Thank you for having me, guys. It's an absolute pleasure, and it's good to see you all again.
Yes,
I know, right?
You.
It was so great to meet you. And just so we're not throwing anybody off, yes, it's an Australian accent, and yes, he lives in Scotland.
That's correct. And I was born in the UK, so there you have it. Bit of a mixture.
There you go.
Mixed bag of tricks here. But
yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us, because today we are going to be talking about the Loch Ness area, the Loch Ness Monster, which is, I mean, all of us love the Loch Ness, but I don't think there's one of us that might love the Loch Ness more than our very own Reverend Lord Chaos Monger Rob, who has loved Loch Ness. I won't even take his story. I'll let him share. But I'm actually going to turn this first part of the show over to Rob, who's going to talk to us all things Loch Ness. And we brought Marquis on to have that conversation with us. And Marquis will kind of be giving us some other history and things that we might need to know about the area. And then at the end, we'll get to know Marquis a little bit and everything that he has going on for himself in the paranormal world. So, Rob, it's yours.
Hi, I'm Rob. So I feel like I've told this story several times, like I'm a monster kid watching horror movies all the way back and researching into the movies, and brings me into the books, into the fiction, into the legends and the lores. And that's how I got into UFOs and supernatural, paranormal, and cryptozoology as an interest. Loch Ness Monster was always one of the bigger interests. Anything as a kid, if there was a picture, a video, UFO, to me, that was real, right? It didn't matter if they said that was a hubcap from a 1954, Cadillac something. No way, we had a picture of it, and I believe it. But the fact that there was, monsters out there, Bigfoots in the Loch Ness, I loved it. A big part of my story with the Loch Ness Monster is a little bit of PTSD, because I had to do this report in 6th grade, and it took me a long time. It was a good portion of the school year, and my teacher presented to me this National Geographic that had a whole story about this evidence that them particular National Geographic, I'm not going to bash National Geographic, but the information they had got from another exploration that turned out later to be, a lot of it was a hoax. Some of the information in there, pictures that they had shown. So it never really stopped me from any interest in Loch Ness or paranormal anything. This trip that we took to the UK, to Ireland and Scotland, took a lot of planning. For a long time, we planned this, a little over a year, I think. Mm-hmm. And when we were in Ireland, we had talked about Scotland being a hop, skip, and a jump away, that we were going to try and go over there. Well, we're going to Scotland.
We're not trying. We're going. Yeah, we're going.
Yeah, we're going to Loch Ness. It's right there, and it was end up being closer, and it was easy to talk these guys into it because they're a sucker for all that, right? That's what we do, and it became part of our trip. And to me, it was going to be the most exciting thing, because as we've talked about, any of this ghost hunting or anything I do, I'm a skeptic. I need the Loch Ness Monster to bite me ass. I need Sasquatch to punch me in the face, a UFO to beam me up, and I need to come face to face with a ghost. I need that kind of stuff to happen, right?
You need probed, is what you're saying.
Yes, I meant probed, right? Yeah, but Don't threaten me with a good time, right? So, getting to Ireland, and that was all exciting. And we had discussed Ross Castle, and we had done some sightseeing. But getting to Scotland, getting to the Airbnb we stayed at, which was right on the loch.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool. We got there at night. We were intimidated by a robot lawnmower that was going at 11:30 at night in the rain.
Trevor.
Trevor. He was a little scary. And we weren't able to get out to the loch till the next day, which was rough. It was rough water. It was dark water.
Yeah.
It looked like soda. It looked like cola. It was pretty rough, and it was pretty harsh. But it was exciting, right? Because now I'm there, and one of my goals while I was out there, was to put my feet in the loch. Originally, I wanted to go swimming, but the beach wasn't really a beach, and the water was way too cold for any mortal man to go into.
Actually, Marquis, you should know that Rob actually promised people Speedo pics in the Loch Ness, right, Brian?
I was promised a Speedo.
I can send a picture wearing it, but what I didn't get
if
really
you're not in Loch Ness,
I got a G-string. But the G-string did not hold everything in, so I didn't want it. I wanted it to be more family oriented, right?
You would never have to prove your courage in any other way if you wore a Speedo in Loch Ness.
I'll go back and do it. I got no problem with that. But that was to get in that water, just to have monster pee on my feet, or even to swim in it, right?
Yeah.
But I did not go swimming. I did not put the G-string Speedo-y thing on. I think I sent pictures of it to the group, didn't I? Looks like an eye patch. So the water was cold. I did actually get to bottle some up to bring back, because now I can search for DNA, and then maybe I can grow one in my a Loch Ness Monster in an aquarium back here. But I haven't begun with that process yet. So I've never really been an expert on the Loch Ness Monster, and I've learned quite a bit through just our whole stay, the tours, and everything we did out there. There was a lot of new information that was presented to me. I did some research on this project, this show today, that there was information that I just didn't really know about. And so if we go back to the history, I'm going to assume that the Picts, if I'm saying that right?
The Picts, yeah.
The ancient people who inhabited that area of the Highlands had a creature that they made cave paintings about. And I don't really know if those cave paintings predated St. Columba, but there was the Pictish beast, is what they referred to it at, the Pictish dragon, the Pictish elephant. Has been a couple other terms, and it has come up in a lot of lore and a lot of different cave drawings. It doesn't necessarily seem to match what we see or what we know as the Loch Ness Monster, the Plesiosaurus that we kind of know it as. But it started there as part of the history. Also, we go back to the St. Columbia, which was something that I did not. I say Columbia, it's Columba, right? And that's how the proper way to say it. There's no I in
the Irish monk.
Yes, he was an Irish monk who came over to spread the good word to the Scottish. It's interesting because some of the information that I found about Columba refers to the Picts as heathens, my people. So they came across a funeral of a Pictish person who had been swimming in the loch or in the river. They were approaching the River Ness. Apparently, I see a couple different stories. They were looking to find a way to cross the river. They came across the funeral. This funeral of the person who had been attacked by this beast. In some of the stories I read, Columba raised him from the dead and asked him questions. So he commanded Columba commanded one of the brothers that he brought with him from the abbey that he was in Ireland to go swim across the water to get a boat, which that guy, I guess, just jumped right in and went to get the boat. Right away, him swimming attracted the beast. The beast was coming up to attack him, and Columba held up his crucifix and said, thou shall not pass, or something about, be gone, do not attack this man, and banished him into the loch.
Back to the depths. Yeah.
Where apparently is where the beast resides to this day. Right?
So the story goes.
So that
as the story goes.
So that lore was already around in the area, is what you're saying? So like prior to any sighting of the Loch Ness Monster, that folklore was kind of circulating?
Well, the folklore part about the saint is what's interesting.
Okay.
Is that apparently, I do have a note here about it, that some of Columba's artifacts are in St. Edmunds, which is in, I guess, I'm not sure if it's in Scotland or Ireland, so I don't know about lore. But I mean, you know what I mean, as far as facts. This apparently happened in the 6th century. Actually happened around, sorry if I didn't mention that, 565 AD. But there was a book written about St. Columba in the 7th century, the life of St. Columba. I'm sorry. It was by St. Edmund, but in the church of Downpatrick is where his artifacts are supposedly kept. But there also, we have the cave paintings and the engravings of the Picket Beast, which, like I said, I can't really find the information. So, Marquis, if you just want to jump in and correct me,
it's funny you should. Well, I've just that's just been an educational experience for me, Rob, because I knew the Picts inhabited the Highlands here, but I had no idea about the cave paintings of the beast. That's all new to me.
Right. So there are several pictures out there of these engravings, and it does have flippers, but it really kind of, the head looks more like a seahorse.
Right.
But it was supposed to reside around the loch and the river. So it does go, but like I said, I can't tell if these cave carvings were made around the same time or predated.
I'll definitely be looking into that, because that's the first I've heard of it. Well, I knew of the Picts, of course, but I didn't know about these cave etchings.
Yeah, look up the Picket Beast.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So what really pushed the whole Loch Ness legend that we have today, or as the sightings seem to really start up around 1933, when in Scotland, along the lake, what is now the Loch Ness Center, it was, I'm going to butcher this, and I'm horrible with names. It was at the Drummond Drummond Hotel. Thank you. Drummond Drocket Hotel, where one day the manager, Aldi
Mackay.
Aldi. Jeez, I am horrible at this. Right. So she comes in and was obviously scared, disturbed, had a sighting of a beast out in the water of the loch. She was sure she had seen this. A whale or fish-like water beast is what some of the descriptions were, and had mentioned people that worked at the hotel. They felt that this was a newsworthy story. She is involved now, but originally, I guess, according to some of the information, she didn't want her name to be put out there. I guess maybe they didn't want her to think she was crazy, because at that time...
No, because back then, she held a very reputable position.
Right.
And she didn't want to sound, somewhat crazy, because, you got to bear in mind that this was a totally different time. And it was only through an acquaintance who he was a journalist for the Inverness newspaper. That's how it all came out.
And then after that story, it seems like around 1933, quite a bit of sightings started.
Yeah, well, you got the first photograph, the Hugh Gray photo, which was in 1933. That was taken around Foyers. And it's a one which kind of looks like a flipper on the surface. It's kind of hard to make out. It's kind of blurry. But when you there's a book called Photographs of the Loch Ness Monster, the Good, Bad, and the Ugly by Roland Watson, and he sort of does a detailed outline of it where the head and the mouth are. So it's you can sort of, that's the only way you can sort of make out what it actually is.
You said that was the George Spicer?
Hugh Gray, yeah. That's
Hugh Gray. Well, the Spicer, there's a photo too around the same time that happened in 33 also. Well, it was a sighting. Did he have the
Spicer photo? I don't know about the Spicer photo.
Yeah, it wasn't a photo. It was a reporting. Sighting. The Hugh Gray photo. 34, Arthur Grant.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, but that's where it came up on the street, right? I came out of the water. In front of the car.
Yes, him and his the Grants. They were driving along. The what is now General Wade's military road, and there was reported some huge amphibian thing crossing the road in front of them.
Gosh.
Yeah.
See, I think it was Kaz didn't believe me that it was reported to have come out of the water at one time. We had a discussion about that while we were out there.
I was going to say, I did not hear this. That's crazy.
Yeah. In 1934, of course, then we had the surgeon's photo, which is the popular photo that everybody has seen at least once in their life, even if they didn't know it was supposed to be the Loch Ness Monster.
Exactly. That's the most iconic photograph, and that's where the whole concept of the plesiosaur developed because of the whole long neck and head thing.
So through some of and I know that even as a kid in any research, it has come up to be fake, but I've also seen recent things that said that they said it was fake, but it really wasn't fake. I don't know what that's about.
Well, the whole thing's interesting because there's there's certain like stories which don't correlate with the fake story. For one, is why wait like so long to
1975, right? Is when they decided it was fake. It's like 40 years later.
No, not even the 1992. The guy, Christian Sperling, confessed it on his deathbed.
Oh,
1992. Yeah.
Yeah, 1994, right. The most agreed that the photo was an elaborate hoax. It has been described as fake in 7th of December, 1975. Well, newspaper articles were beating it up.
You might be thinking of the Doc Shields photo. There was another one which looked kind of similar, but it was in color. It looked like a reptile sort of snakehead coming out of the water. That was in 1976. It coincided with the Queen's Jubilee.
So there's been a couple of fakes. Is that
there's no proof that the Doc Shields photo is a fake, but it was a renowned trickster.
Gotcha.
He even told people how to fake photos. So, he never said that particular one was a fake, but go figure. So yeah.
Right. The belief that it was an elephant on a board or something, and that was just the trunk that you're actually seeing.
Yeah,
of the toy. But there was concerns about the size of the ripples around it, which should have been like much bigger if it was a really small
elephant. Yeah.
So
you don't get too many elephants swimming in Loch Ness.
I didn't see any when we were there. Yeah.
So
right. I seen a really good video though doing this research of the Loch Ness Monster jumping out of the water and doing a backflip.
Nice. But isn't that from the movie?
It was totally a fake, but it was actually really good quality fake. I don't even think a species designed like this could actually do a backflip.
I've seen the one you're talking about, but I've read somewhere that was from the movie Waterhorse.
It might have been. Maybe. It might have been.
Yeah, because I haven't actually seen that movie. But but I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
Then we have the 16-minute color film, 1938, the Taylor film. In 1938, also William Fraser, Chief Constable of the Inverness Shire, wrote a letter about that the monster exists without a doubt. But he also has any evidence. We did the sonar readings from 1954. The Rival 3 fishing boat and its crew noted a large object keeping pace with the vessel at a depth of about 146 meters. Was detected for 800 meters before the contact was lost. Now, a thing that I think about too with the whole Loch Ness Monster is that, as far as cryptozoology goes, we got alligators. They're dinosaurs and they're relatively unchanged, and we have cockroaches, which have been around for billions of years and are relatively unchanged. And I know that, it's just a couple weeks ago, in the last month, we actually, without trying, got a video of a colossal squid in nature swimming around. It's actually quite a bit of footage of it, as opposed to where we had to trick it to, lure it with bait to get to a camera. We theorized they existed. Eventually, we got parts of giant squids. And there they are, right? So we proved that they were real, and the people who were crackpots and that believed in this type of the colossal squid was real are now, renowned scientists, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right? So I know the loch is really close to the size of the ocean, but I mean the size of the ocean, and to find something even as big as the colossal squid has got to be a chore. And my understanding too is that for a long time I thought the Loch Ness Monster was this huge beast, but really it's only being talked about to be like 30 feet-ish long, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So even though the loch is really, it's what, 23 miles long?
23 miles in length, yep. And
only about
nearly 2 miles wide.
Yeah, at the widest point. Yeah. And I read several different things that it's 700 to 800 feet, that they have found spots that are 900 feet, plus there are caves. There's also a theory that there are tunnels that connect the loch to other bodies of water so that the Loch Ness Monster can appear in others. That's a realm theory. We don't.
My great.
We made up this theory.
That's our theory.
Last year,
that's our theory.
Last year we were talking about a monster that was spotted in Lake Tahoe or something, and so we made up this theory, like, oh, what if there's underground tunnels that go from Scotland?
Well, there's caves in Loch Ness right underneath. I mean, we don't know where they go, right?
Exactly. Yep. Exactly right. And it's so deep and dark that you don't know where they lead to. I mean, who really knows? With all the modern equipment we've got these days, we've still barely scratched the surface of the loch.
Well, I know. I mean, even speaking of the ocean, I think the number is that we've really only discovered like 10% of what is in the ocean.
Well, exactly right. Yeah.
So.
So there. I mean, we keep going. We keep going on and on with Dinsdale film, the Loch Ness Muppet.
Oh.
Yeah. That is the prop from the movie that sank to the bottom of the ocean, or bottom of the loch.
Yes, that's the prop from the Private Life of Sherlock Holmes.
Yes. That sank in the testing for shooting the film.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's still the more recent stuff, the Holmes video, the sonar image from 2011. George Edwards photograph in 2011, and there was one that was the Apple Maps photograph. What do you think about that one, Marquis?
That's interesting because it looks like the Apple Map one looks like
a whale shark.
Yeah, it looks like an albino whale shark. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Do we have a picture of this that we can share for the people that are watching?
I bet money I have it right. I'm not even watching you guys. I'm totally just on all the stuff I have saved up for this because, yes, here, let me.
You're missing a show. I'm naked.
I've already got pictures of that.
Oh, shit. All right.
All right, here we go. Let me are you here? Can I share?
Yep, you're good.
All right, here it is.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
that
this
looks
is
like a
from
shark.
Yep.
Yeah, this is from the Apple satellite photograph. I mean, there's theories that the way they stitch pictures together when they're doing the mapping, that maybe there's a boat there that didn't got cut into stitching.
Sure.
Because it was also the size of this thing is humongous.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually really big. It's not. There's other pictures where you can see a little bit of the shoreline, but it's like really big.
Yep, it is. It's massive, especially
Right.
like it got caught on like Apple Map, so the thing's got to be huge, whatever it is.
When you're done sharing that, I have a picture. Just so we can circle back for a second to that stone. I'll pull that up, Marky, so you can see that as well.
Sure.
The Pickish Beast.
Yeah, that's the cave drawing. That looks very much like this should have been your tattoo, Rich.
What? Let me see.
Right here.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
I don't know if anybody would get it though if they saw that.
They might.
Well,
we get it.
If you.
So that's the actual cave drawing, huh?
Well, that's one of them. There's the pic. Let me pull it up. I have.
Yeah, I'll stop sharing and you can share your screen.
Interesting.
I just have to look through all my information.
Because go back to everything we've always said on the show. Way back then, they're not getting this. Where are they getting this information from?
Right.
There's no
like
internet.
when we talk about
people aren't
UFOs,
talking to other people around the country. I mean, how are you coming up with that? Somehow somebody's had to have seen that to put that on that to carve that into the wall. I mean, they're not just all of a sudden. Oh, I heard somebody say. You're not hearing that from anywhere else. I mean, that's just crazy.
There's a whole Pickish Beast Wikipedia site.
Oh,
but
geez.
here's some of the stone carvings and
wow,
where they do give it like almost like fins but it has more of a seahorse head. But there's been several different carvings of it. So there's a couple places it shows up.
Interesting.
Yep.
Hey, Gina, I don't know how to share my screen, so I changed my background to this picture. It's like the Apple picture.
Duck.
No.
Well, if you look behind my shoulder, you can see outside of that blue is that Apple Maps picture, and that's the back of the boat, the rest of the wake.
Oh,
attaches to the other piece.
Yeah,
so it might be what you were saying, how they stitched the pictures together.
Yeah, it could be.
So it was. So it could have been. There's a very real possibility that's just a boat, and it's just got pixelated by the stitching or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing like when that MH370 went missing. Everybody's using the maps. People were saying they were seeing things here and there, and it was, and people were the experts were saying the same type of thing where how the pictures are stitched together. You're probably seeing a real plane someplace flying. It just looks like that, or you're seeing a shadow of it. So yeah, I get that.
Yeah, that's the problem with the mapping like that. It doesn't stitch together very well, and it leaves a lot of gaps. Footage that I had never seen until last night was the drone footage from 1921.
Drone footage?
This was, to me, was really cool because I don't know anything more about it, if it was ever proven to be fake or...
Wait, you said drone footage from 1921?
I'm sorry, 2021. Sorry.
Oh, I'm like, wait a minute, that was definitely fake.
Yeah. Are you talking about the kayakers?
Oh, well, I don't know. It's a drone. It's drone footage. I didn't get a lot of information on it. It's
and it looks like a plesiosaur, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. There's Steve Feltham, the Nessie hunter, the guy's never come forward and actually admitted to it to be a fake. But Steve Feltham, the Nessie hunter guy, straight up, he says, look, it's an absolute fake. It's just been doctored in. There's no natural movement of the creature.
It's just kind of floats in.
Yeah, it's just there. Yeah,
it just floats in. It doesn't have any real movement. But at first, when you first watch it, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. But
yeah,
there's not a lot of information on it.
No.
It's
The
just
guys,
it's just there. Do you guys want to see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come
on. You know I can't read. I have to see pictures.
I got it. I get it too, man. You watch. It'll circle it for us right there. Oh.
Yep.
Oh.
So is it just like a log, maybe, or is it?
It's got to be like an image, because when you really look at it, you can see like a neck and a body and a fin. But it was like at first you're like, that is really cool, but I cannot.
Yeah, here it comes. Yeah.
I see it.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah, it's just been doctored in.
Yeah.
That's yep. Because there's no like natural movements, and if it was that,
not at all, it's just
was,
like, I'm tired, I'm gonna float over.
Yeah. And if that thing was just below the surface, like it appears to be, you'd have like ripples and all that sort of stuff. You'd have some sort of disturbance going on.
No, he was in stealth mode.
Yeah, true.
so that also there was a sighting 2 weeks after we were there. There was a photograph, and I had never seen it. I'd seen part of the article, and I wasn't sure if there was video to it or not. And I watched some news story about it, and it was interesting because in the news story they had Nessieland sign up on the video, and I was like, oh, I was there.
Yeah,
I was there, and that was cool. So a big part of it too is in all this that was going on is, of course, Adrian Shrine, who started right at that very hotel where the whole big the big story broke and everybody was out looking for the plesiosaurus. Is the center of this has kind of become Adrian Shrine, who has put a good portion of his life into studying the Loch Ness Monster, being at the loch. This started in 1973 in that very hotel. He is not an easy guy to find information on. You can find information on his movies, on his books, on some of the things he has done. It talks about being an amateur naturalist. It talks about that he is a biologist. I know that it was exciting. In the very front of the Loch Ness Center is the submarine, which at first I thought was probably a replica, but it wasn't. It was the actual submarine that he took down into the loch. And he has a story about that something hit his submarine and turned it 180, I believe, is how that story goes.
Well, Adrian Chimes made his like career here, just being the renowned skeptic.
Right, but he's brought up a lot of good points. I'm not even sure. I couldn't find anything about. I'm assuming he's still alive.
Yeah, very much so. He was in a documentary a recent one that I was featured in, called "The Mysteries of Loch Ness."
That's right.
A British, it was a British company. It was on Channel 4 in the UK. And a British company called Curve Media put it out, and he featured heavily in it.
And I couldn't even find a wiki on this guy. Everything I look up brings me back to the Loch Ness Center or other short snippets of him. But I mean, he's in everything. And even before I really know who he was, I can recall seeing him in watching anything you watch about Loch Ness. He has been involved in any of the sonars that they have tried to do the whole lake, the loch, sorry.
Operation Deep Scan.
He's been part of it, and he has brought up some interesting points. Like I had mentioned, we have animals that like alligators. There was fish that were caught in Japan in the 50s that we thought were extinct for 50 million years. The possibility that this dinosaur-like creature could still exist. And one of the things that Adrian brought up that to me stood out the most was it's a reptile, and the water's really, really cold.
It's too cold for a reptile to survive in that water.
That's right. And even with places to hide, it limits the amount of food. Also, I mean, I don't know what the life expectancy of a plesiosaurus is, but I mean, they have been living in there for thousands of years, millions of years. The first, well, Columbus sighting was about 15,000 years, or 1,500 years ago.
Yeah.
At least, maybe a little bit more. So, same thing with me with Sasquatch is where are the corpses, right?
Yeah, well, it's there's an interesting theory about that one, is that what dies in Loch Ness stays in Loch Ness, because it's so cold down the bottom that when anything dies, it prevents gases from expanding in the body, which causes it to float to the surface.
That makes good. That makes a good
Yeah.
point.
So a lot of people that have drowned in Loch Ness, have never surfaced. They've never been seen again. So yeah, that's an interesting theory to that one.
That was what we had found on one of the tours, was the water gets to be about 5 degrees but never freezes.
Yes, it's a constant 5 degrees. It never freezes in winter.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, it is very cold, believe you me, because I stood in it.
I fell in it.
Kind of fell in it.
Yeah. I fell,
yeah. And
my claim to fame. I was trying to get the water and I fell in. My boots are waterproof though. On the plus side, I found out that they're really good because my feet did not get wet. So
right. So that we learned a lot of that on the boat ride. The boat ride was neat. It was
that was cool.
We took a tour of the loch. It doesn't, of course, go through the whole thing. It took us up by Erkhart Castle. We docked. We turned around, came back. How the river ties in is interesting. That was a little bit weird. That's where that weird illusion is, where the water is like higher than the lake.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Was it a Jacobite cruise that you went on? The one that left the Plainsman? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. I know. Yep.
Yeah, they wouldn't let us go diving. We tried. They said no.
Not
too dangerous with all the monsters. But so with paranormal investigating and cryptozoology and whatnot, it's a special breed of people, and some are more special than others. But we got to meet somebody very interesting while we were out there. We took a trip to a place called Nessieland, which is a museum all about
cool.
Loch Ness. It was very interesting. Cool. Got a little theater in there.
Yeah.
The owner was a pretty neat guy. It's good to see somebody who is into horror movies and then still into the same type of music you are, with the same kind of minor music professional career. So we have Marquis with us here. Marquis HR tonight. HK, sorry, HK.
Yep.
HR's Geiger. Remember that. Totally That's different. Correct. Totally different monsters, right? So I'll let Marquis take over.
Yeah, so Marquis, is there anything in the history that so Rob gave us kind of a good overview. Are there anything like from your perspective that you want to add about Loch Ness and the area?
Yes. Well, over in years gone by, there's been UFO. There's been all sorts of strange phenomena surrounding Loch Ness.
Yeah.
There's been UFO sightings, ghostly specters, strange lights. People have like certain individuals have claimed to see aliens in a spaceship in the woodlands there in Foyers. But one of the most interesting aspects for me is really revolves around the mystic Aleister Crowley. Now, I'm sure you know of him.
Yep, yes. Heard of him.
Yep. Now, he bought a house on the shores of Loch Ness, Boleskine House, which is still there to this day. Well, they've rebuilt it, but I'll get to that. Now, Crowley owned Boleskine House from 1899 to 1913. And he purchased it with the sole intention of performing a lengthy ritual called the Abramelin operation. Now, what that involved was his summoning one's own guardian angel. But to do that, you at first had to invoke the Crown Kings of Hell and bind them so they couldn't have a negative effect on you, basically. So you're binding them. But he never finished the ritual. He got called to Paris, and they say that whatever he summoned there remains there. And it was Crowley was there like way before all the Nessie phenomenon took off. So some say, one of the theories is that Crowley opened up a portal, and that Nessie is actually a supernatural phenomenon.
Oh,
yeah. And there's a book in it. There's a book that goes into that whole theory. By a guy called Nick Redfern. Don't know if you can see that there.
Yeah,
it's called Nessie, the Exploring the Supernatural Origins of the Loch Ness Monster. And it's a very interesting read, and it goes into the facts. He fully believes that Nessie is the ghost of a Kelpie.
Huh.
And
it's interesting.
Yeah. And
if you don't mind, I just really want to quickly, for our listeners, in case they're not familiar with Aleister Crowley, just really quick. He is a British occultist. I'm reading this right now. A poet and a magician who founded a religion of Thelema. People often associate him with Satanism, but he was not a Satanist. He had, but he did have controversial beliefs and practices that involved like incantation and things like that.
Exactly.
So, sorry. I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, he didn't. He never ever called himself a Satanist. He called himself the Great Beast 666. That's what he called himself. But he never professed to be a Satanist, or But the things that some of the things that he was allegedly talking to, they were like demonic spirits, or or dark spirits, if you like, and. And after Crowley left the place in 1913, and the next most famous owner was Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin. And he was a big Crowley enthusiast. He had like the second biggest Crowley book collection in the world, and he purchased the house in 1970. Though he spent very little time there, even though he owned it from 1970 to 1992. He left it in the hands of his friend caretaker Malcolm Dent. So Malcolm Dent, who didn't believe in the paranormal at all, but certainly experienced some strange goings on while he was there. Something that he had like shuffling under the door, and weird noises, furniture being rearranged, and just all bizarre stuff like that. So it's that's one of my favorite aspects. And throughout the years, also, you've had the investigators such as we've got Tim Dinsdale, who produced the famous footage. A guy called Ted Holliday. Now, Holliday's ones that could claim to see ghostly spectres on the loch. Oh. Now, he said he saw something which looked like a guy in motorbike leathers. But when he got closer, the thing didn't move, and it was like it was wrapped in like black plastic, and there was nothing beneath that plastic. It was like a spectre, like it was hollow.
Oh.
Yeah. So just strange stuff like that, and clairvoyance, seeing weird blue lights on the loch, and just weird stuff, and one of the guys that features in the video that we're playing, Nessieland, is a Dutch Jan Sandsberg. He's the one that's claimed to be taking a stroll through Foyers Woods one day, and he saw what looked like a silver cigar-shaped craft, like floating in the air, and like 6 humanoid figures around it.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
we did not hunt UFOs when we were there. We missed out.
Yeah.
We did
this all happened in the 70s. Strangely enough, most of these incidents. So, when Ted Holliday, he started researching the thing from in the early 1960s, and then we had Tim Dinsdale. He shot the footage, that famous footage, and that's the only time he saw it. He spent the next 20 years looking for it again. He never saw it again after that. So. It just goes to show, it's just the luck of the draw.
Right. Yeah. So the whole interdimensional or porthole type thing, right? And that's kind of what the belief is now with Bigfoots. That's why we don't find corpses, right? The possibility of them being interdimensional beings. Yeah, and that's also been, it makes it a little bit more interesting, right? We have a porthole like opening up back to the 50 million years ago or whatever. But I think it's interesting, like, Crowley just had something to do, right? He opens up a portal and is like, oh, I got to get to France. I can't really maintain this right now. It'll be okay until I get back, right?
Actually, while you guys were here, I don't know if I told you guys about Boleskine House whilst you were here. I know it's in one of the books I gave you. One of the books you bought of me. Yeah. I should have told you to check it out. But it would have been closed by then. So you can't get access to it until because it was gutted by two fires in recent years. One in 2012, I think it was. And then it just sat there lying dormant for a while, and then there was another fire about 5 years later, and then it got took on by the Boleskine House Foundation, who are fully restoring it to its former self. And when it reopens, which looks like by the end of this year, when it's fully complete, they're going to turn it into some sort of like visitor center and / museum. So that'll be interesting.
Oh, maybe you could get in there and investigate that place.
Oh, absolutely.
If you do, you know who to call.
Yeah, well, I think I told you, me and a friend of mine, we do a YouTube channel called Extreme Ghost Hunters, and we've done 2 episodes in Boleskine Cemetery there.
Oh, really? Wow, we'll have to take a look at that for sure.
I know what I'm watching tonight.
Yeah, we were told about trying to get like where the house was, Crowley's house was. It's all blocked off.
Yeah. Well, when it's not open to the public, they do tours where you can just walk. When I went there was nothing much to see because it was just a building site. But I did visit there in 2011 when it was owned by the Dutch family. Of course, it was private property, so I couldn't just walk on. But I got as close as I could, and I visited after the first fire when it was all gutted and stuff, and I did get to sort of like walk around and right inside the place. It's definitely got a weird atmosphere to it. I didn't explain it. I didn't experience any feelings of nausea or anything like that, but it's certainly got an atmosphere and energy about it.
They also mentioned that you could go. There was some place up north from there that you could buy the furniture
from Boleskine House.
Yeah.
Well, no, I never heard of that one.
What they were telling us that when we were getting our tattoo, that you could go look, and they had seen the bedroom set. It was really expensive though, but
right,
it was pretty interesting.
And Marky's gonna now remodel his home
because the closest village to Boleskine House is Foyers, and they don't have a furniture store. So yeah, that's weird, but. Yeah, you mean like just the stuff that was rescued after the fire?
Yeah, they had some.
Because when the Boleskine House Foundation took it on, they pretty much had to start from scratch because all that was left was just the shell, really. Just the exterior walls. That was pretty much it. The whole thing was gutted. So, it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do with it.
So I have a question. Do you find that with all of the things that you just mentioned, and if there's more, great, we definitely want to hear it. But I just wanted to ask, do you like with Aleister Crowley's house and with the things that have been spotted in the area? Because I know like people say in Foyer Falls, there's like fays that are there.
I've heard that.
And other mythical creatures. Do you find that a lot of enthusiasts, like maybe groups such as ourselves, kind of flock to that area, and Loch Ness enthusiasts? Like, do you find that there's a lot of foot traffic with people like us that want to go there and try to see?
Yeah, definitely. I meet all sorts of interesting people, that come into Nessieland, and I strike up great conversations with them. It's good to meet. It's good to have a job where I meet so many like-minded individuals.
Yeah.
That's into the paranormal and cryptozoology and just and the occult, if you like. And and it's not just there's been so many incidents over the years too. You've had like John Cobb, who was attempting the water speed record, who tragically died in 1952 when his the boat, the Crusader, just flipped and he was killed instantly. You had do you know of the case of the World War II bomber, the Wellington bomber?
Yep.
That crash landed in the loch in 1940.
I did not hear that. You should tell our listeners about that.
Yeah, well, it was during World War II. A British bomber known as a Wellington bomber was on a routine exercise, It was New Year's Eve, 1940, and he got caught up in a snowstorm, and it had to make an emergency sort of landing in Loch Ness. It didn't plough into the loch; it sort of glided and landed on the loch. Now all the crew made it, barring the rear gunner. His parachute failed to deploy, and he tragically didn't make it. But the rest of the crew, they landed and inflated the dinghy and just paddled to shore. Now that Wellington bomber sank to the bottom of the loch, where it remained for 30 years. And they originally dragged it, raised it, and I think it was what year was it? It was in the late 80s, I think it was, and it was in almost perfect condition, bar most of the wings missing. They even plugged the tailgates even worked when they plugged the battery into them.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Didn't they restore it? And they used it for
it's in a museum now. The name escapes me, but it's in a well-known aircraft museum to where it sits this day.
Very
but
cool.
One of the another one of the ghostly spectres Ted Holliday is reported to have seen is there a guy wearing a British soldier's outfit dragging a parachute.
Really?
Yeah. So go figure. Yeah.
Interesting.
Probably should have had a recorder going while we were on our cruise. Didn't even think about that.
We should have wandered the woods at night.
Yeah. Well, you could have. No,
there's all sorts of activities you can do around Loch Ness, but most of the time people just don't have the time to do all of them. That's visiting, unfortunately.
Right.
Well, yeah. I'm curious. What do local people like? What are their thoughts and feelings on Nessie? Like, does the area generally believe in the Loch Ness Monster? Are they annoyed by the people that come? Are they, what's their thoughts?
They're not annoyed because it keeps the local economy going.
Right.
Because this around Drumnadrocket Rocket anyway, that's our bread and butter. With all the B&Bs and the gift shops and whatnot. I'd say it's about 50-50, skeptics, believers.
Okay.
There's people who live around here that's claimed to have, actually seen it. One lady lives on the shores there in a cottage high above, and she's been there since 1989. She claims to have seen it twice.
Oh wow!
And there was somebody that lives out on the beach that makes toys or something. We were going to try and stop there. You're talking about Steve, but we never made it.
You're talking about Steve Feltham.
Yes,
the Nessie Hunter guy. Yeah, he's been there 31 years. Camped to the side, and even he's only seen what he calls possibilities.
Yeah, I think what's his name? Steve Feltham. That's it.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
We had heard about him on our tour, on our boat cruise. The guy said that he come to Loch Ness and had thought that he's seen him. And then so this guy sold all of his belongings, moved to Loch Ness in a camper van in the 90s and never left, and just has lived in this camper van next to the lake.
Still there to this day.
Huh.
And keeping vigil is basically
he's on Dora's Beach.
Huh.
Right next to the Dora's Inn pub.
Mm.
And you can catch him most times. Most times he's there. That's what he does. He sells his homemade models, and basically that sustains him.
Hmm.
And he's seen what he's seen. He sees what he describes it as like a torpedo, going against the current, that's he's just seen possibilities. That's he hasn't seen anything definite. He's seen no long neck coming out of the water or something. But do you know of the Chi Kelly photos?
I don't think so.
The ones that were taken in 2018 on Dora's Beach.
I might have seen that.
I think is that in your
I was going to ask
your museum?
Yeah, it was. It would have been. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's where it might have been where I heard about that.
Yeah, it depicts two humps, and one photo looks it kind of looks like an alligator's head, coming to the surface, and the glint of an eye. But you can look it up online, and it's definitely some animated creature moving. So don't know what it is, but they're the latest. They're the latest genuine sightings, anyway, of whatever the creature may be.
She Kelly, right?
G Kelly, yeah. It's I think it's CHIE and then Kelly.
I know when we were there, it was on the news that there was a possible sighting, and that happened like while we were there, because I think I remember talking to you about it, and like the video was, you can't really tell from the video.
There's some guy he's an Irish guy. He's got a webcam set up, and he claims to see the thing every other week almost.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's really it's the waves, and there's a black spot under the water. It's like nothing even breaks the surface.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anything. Yeah, it could be an unusual wave, and to him, that's a sighting.
Right.
Now, so since we've been there, I know that you just talked about the one that was the last, like, kind of sighting that had possibilities. So since we've been there with that sighting, has there been any other, besides the Irish gentleman that sees them every other week? But has there been any other?
Well, I had a couple in Nessieland the other day that claimed to see something.
Huh.
They said it looked. If you go to our webpage, if you go to our Nessieland Facebook page, I actually interviewed them just to see what they saw.
Oh,
they said it looked like a seal, but it didn't sort of move like one. It looked like a seal's head, and it had like a glistening light, like the sun was reflecting its wet skin. And it stayed up on the surface for about a minute, then submerged again. And I told Mike, the Nessie Hunter skipper, about it, who does the tours next to us, and he said he asked where it was. I said, well, it was near Doris. He goes, well, in that case, it was a seal. He goes, because there's a seal in there at the minute, apparently.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask. I think I read something somewhere that there was reports of a seal in Loch Ness at some point, but I wasn't sure about that.
Yeah, because because apparently seals can survive both in fresh and salt water. So
that's what I read. I think we've seen that somewhere when
there's
we were
the
there,
best picture in Nessieland Facebook page.
Of you guys at the statue.
Well, I want to kind of open it up to the team. Who, like, does anybody want to share their experience while they were there? Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question.
Marquis.
I have a question, and I'm hoping that none of the public works for Inverness are listening. But if you're driving around the lake and you see the sign that says "Welcome to Loch Ness," I was just curious because we thought we saw an apeshit and a realm sticker on that sign. If it was still there,
it might be.
Whereabout is this?
So just past, if you're going from Jacobite Cruise and heading towards Nessieland, that sign that's on the left-hand side of the road,
big metal blue sign,
says "Welcome to Loch Ness."
Right.
Has a few stickers on there. Might.
I mean, if you're out driving around, just maybe check and see if that rumor's true.
I'll have to have a look next time. I couldn't tell you right at this stage, but I'll have to have a look next time.
I mean, there may or may not have been.
But you can't prove
really
anything.
Close call with a police officer as we pulled over to just look at the sign. We were just looking at the sign, and Rob had to get out of the car for a second
to get up close because I can't see.
Okay. But if you watch one of our episodes, Extreme Ghost Hunters, I mean, talking about that Nessie could be like a supernatural thing, we did pick up a weird sound at the 9-minute mark.
Oh, very cool.
Okay.
It sounds like the wailing of a creature, because when we use primitive equipment, we use dowsing rods, temperature gauges, and compasses, because a lot of the ghost hunting equipment now, you can pick up anything, and it could be any frequency or any sound. You can't really fake primitive equipment.
Sorry. Did you hear that when you were there, or did you hear it later?
Didn't hear it when we were there. No.
Okay, no. That's cool.
If we had heard it when we were there, it would have been deafening, because it echoed right across the loch.
Well, I guess while we're on that subject, we'll get to team question and comments in a minute. Let's go ahead and finish talking about everything that you have going on, Marky. I want to open the floor to you, and then we can go around to the team and talk about our experience. So tell us what you got going on. You've mentioned your YouTube channel and your investigation. We'd love to hear about that, your paranormal, investigation team and Nessieland and all those things. So tell us about
Plug everything. Plug everything.
Okay. Yeah, not a problem.
Not
a problem. Okay.
Plug it
all right.
hard.
Well, I've got the YouTube channel which I host with a friend of mine called Mark Dan, and we've just wrapped up our second season, and we've also got our own book out now, the Extreme Ghost Hunters book.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
And it's basically all the locations that are featured in the series. Boleskine House is in there, Loch Ness is in there, ancient burial grounds, just even locations linked to the Knights Templar.
Nice.
That's all in there. The Extreme Ghost Hunters book. It's available for purchase on Amazon, and you know of my. You guys picked up my Eerie Planet books there, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, you know of those. It's just places I've traveled to around the...
there. Look at that.
That's the one. Yep, you've got it.
Right.
Yep. They're just places where, it's based on dark tourism. That's the whole essence of the book, just of all the places with a dark past and history, some being related to paranormal, and others being related to... historical tyrants and just dark places in history, really. Dark tourism guides. Put out one a few years back called Devil's Disciples. That's just all about cults and secret societies and black magicians. And Aleister Crowley features in that one. Rasputin, Charles Manson, and I've just finished work on a new book on the UK 80s punk movement called Voice of a Generation. And that's going to be published hopefully soon.
You said that's on the UK punk movement?
Yeah. Basically, UK punks, UK 80s punks in their own words.
Do you have any books on horror movies?
Yes, I believe you bought one.
There it is right there.
Faces of Horror. Yeah, you bought one. Yeah, you guys.
Amy, show that again. Hold that up again. There we go.
Yeah, just horror movies that's inspired me over the years. Letters from the Night Stalker. My 10
Oh, that's right. Tell everybody about this. This is a crazy story.
My 10-year correspondence with Richard Ramirez. Basically, I was pen pals with him for 10 years while he was on San Quentin's death row. And, we struck up a friendship, it's fair to say. And believe it or not, he was the most politest, nicest guy in his letters. You wouldn't think he'd done the things he did by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
And, I just, I wasn't sort of like glorifying what he did in any way or, any sense of the word. I just reached out to him because I just thought he was a charismatic individual, and I just found him interesting. And we corresponded for 10 years, and he used to send me artwork. We used to talk about horror movies, other serial killers. He used to ask me constant questions, what I did in my spare time, because I was still living in Australia at the time when I was writing to him. And and he always used to say, without every single letter without fail, send me pics of chicks. And he even used to send me phone numbers of other females that wrote to him. So he kind of looked out for me. He kind of looked out for me, you might say. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's that came out a few years ago. That's available. That's available for purchase on Amazon now. Oh, it has been for a while. Yeah, and that's one of my biggest selling books.
I bet.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
Yeah, and we're which was it? Yeah, and me and myself and Mark, we're going to be guests at the Birmingham Horror Festival this coming October.
Cool.
Very cool.
2-day horror festival. It started out as a film festival, but now they've branched out into traders. So we're going to be doing that in mid-October. So
will you be doing a speaking engagement or a vendor booth or both?
Yeah. We just basically were there as traders, selling books and merch and that sort of stuff.
Where will that be at?
Birmingham.
Not in the United States.
No, that's hey, you know what? Anything for a road trip, I'm game.
I know. Let's
I got my passport now. I go anywhere.
Oh, it'd be great if you guys could get over. Yeah. So that's the 11th and 12th of October.
Okay.
So Birmingham it's in the Midlands. Okay. So it's a long drive from Loch Ness, but so there's a couple of things happening. We're going to be doing working starting Extreme. We're just researching locations now for Extreme Ghost Hunters Season 3. So
cool.
Yeah, there's there are quite a few projects in the pipeline.
Nice.
Well, I'm hoping maybe we can network and do an investigation together someday. That would be
that'd be absolutely Extreme Ghost Hunters combined with the Realm. That'd be great.
Yeah, you can come over to the U.S. We can go back there. Whatever, we'll find.
Absolutely.
We'll have to twist my arm to get me back out there.
I know, right?
Yeah, well, I'd love to get back over to the US, so especially to do that sort of thing.
Well, you got a big Realm family here, so whenever you're ready, we're ready for you. For sure.
I'd love to. Yeah, I've visited Point Pleasant, but I want to visit it properly, see the whole bunker and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so I go back. We have an episode from, I think, our first season. So my spouse, Kez, and I, you met Kez when we were there. So we went to Point Pleasant and we stayed there for a week. We stayed in West Virginia State Penitentiary overnight. And we did a haunted road trip and we stayed in Point Pleasant for about 4 or 5 days. We went to the TNT bunkers. So, so anybody that's listening here, go back to that first season and we talk about our haunted road trip and we talk about West Virginia, Point Pleasant.
We'll put the link in the comments.
Yeah, we can put the link in the comments.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the home of the Mothman. If you're not familiar with what Point Pleasant is well known for, that is the home of the Mothman, supposedly. But yeah, I'd love to talk to you offline. I'll tell you all about that.
Totally, yeah. Because I only made it to the museum. I was very limited for time. I landed at where was it? Not Charleston Airport, but the other one. And
Huntington.
Huntington. That's the one. Yeah. And when I first booked it with the initial travel agents, who are now gone under, they said, "Oh, it's only 5 minutes from Huntington." It's not. It was a damned hour.
Yeah, it's
an hour's drive.
Yeah.
So I had very little time to explore the place properly. So, but next time, definitely
for sure.
So, Marquis, I do have a question for you. When you come into the United States, do we drive on the wrong side of the road?
Yes, you do.
I will say that when everybody asks me about our trip, all of my friends and family and everything, I share how much fun we had at the Haunted Castle and, how we stayed on a cottage, on Loch Ness. And then this really cool guy reached out to us and said, "Hey, I see you're in, Loch Ness area and I have this place and I would be thrilled if you guys came to see me. You can take a look at the museum. We could get to know each other." And that collaboration is just so valuable to us. It was
absolutely, likewise. Well, it was Mark Dan, who I do Extreme Ghost Hunters with, who pointed it out. That you guys are in town because he sent me a photo of you going to the Loch Ness Centre.
Oh,
that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it was your card. Yeah, you left your card with because Mark Dan's son works there.
Oh, see, we left our cards everywhere, so it works.
And so he said, these guys are in town. We'll get in touch with them. So
we were so excited, and we're so glad to meet you.
Yep.
I would, before everybody else asks their questions, I would like for you to tell everybody about Nessieland, if you don't mind plugging that a little bit.
Okay, well, it's a gift shop / exhibition. We sell all sorts of toys and merch and coffee and snacks and stuff, and we've got like cuddly toys, figurines, Nessie, like a beer mug sort of thing. That actually, that's my favorite item. Beautifully crafted steins. We've got those. postcards, books. Yep. And the exhibition basically shows a half-hour documentary film, which features the Dinsdale film on there.
That was so cool. That theater was amazing.
Yeah, interviews with Adrian Shine. Lots of photos from all the sightings and searches and storyboards. So yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. While you're here. Of course, we've got the big Nessie statues outside, as well as the gigantic one in the exhibition itself.
Mm-hmm.
And we're open 7 days a week during mid-season. We're closed for the winter season, of course, because there's just nothing going on. But yeah, 10 till 5 every day. Mid-season. So if you're in Loch Ness, come check it out, and you'll get to meet yours truly.
Yeah,
I always like to meet interesting people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we loved it. It was so I could have stayed in there way longer. There was just so much information to take in. So when you stop by, make sure you give yourself time to really look at everything in the exhibit. There's so much information in there. They have a theater with plenty of seating and a large screen, just like a regular movie theater. And you can watch all the documentaries that he was talking about. So I'll open the floor. Does anybody have any questions or want to talk about their experience while we were in Loch Ness?
I'll go first.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Which Airbnb were you staying in, and whereabouts was it?
Like literally a half a mile from Jacobite Cruises. So it's right along where the river, like the property, if you look to the right, you could see Loch Ness, and then if you look straight on, you could see the river.
Right, okay, gotcha.
Right there.
Gotcha. So you were staying near Loch End.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's if you drive by at night, you'll probably see the robot lawnmower going at crazy hours. It never stopped.
Unless he's still stuck.
That's going to haunt you for the rest of your days, isn't it?
It was weird.
All right, I got a couple things. First of all, it was great meeting you. I thought that was awesome. Nessieland, great. I recommend it to anybody. I follow you on Facebook. I follow you on any social media. I've been following you guys. And like I said, tonight I'm going to turn on YouTube. I'm going to check out some of those extreme ghost hunting stuff. That sounds awesome.
Cool.
Before we got to Nessieland, Gina did the mom thing and started asking everybody what their favorite part of the trip was. And she got to me and I said, I don't know. I said, I don't know. I'm just soaking it all in. After we left Nessieland, I told her, I said, you know what? I changed my mind. This was the best part of the trip. I said, getting to meet you, getting to do some networking. I said that, and getting to get in there and check out that exhibit. I thought that was great. I thought that was awesome. That was one of my favorite parts of the trip.
Cool. That's that. Thank you very much. That
was awesome.
That means a lot to me. Yeah. So it was great to meet you guys as well. Of course.
And the second thing I have is after we got home, I started watching some TV and I turned on some Loch Ness Monster stuff and I turned on Expedition X. And guess who I see on the TV?
Yeah.
And there you are sitting in the pub. There you are sitting in the pub. And I was like, holy shit. I know that guy.
I still haven't seen that episode.
No.
And it was filmed that was filmed over a year ago.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That was filmed at the beginning of last year. It was filmed about almost just over a year ago now. That was.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it.
I
was like, hey, wait a minute, I know that guy.
I still haven't seen that because I can't get access to Discovery Channel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's all you can watch it on.
Yes.
I've seen a clip from it.
Okay.
Is there no way for you guys to access the Discovery Channel app in Scotland?
I've got the app on my phone, but it's just I've downloaded it and I've subscribed. But it's saying it keeps taking me around in circles for some reason.
Yeah, that happened whenever I was trying to do a simulcast when we were at the haunted castle and I was trying to do YouTube and Facebook at the same time. And the program that I was trying to use, the software, it wasn't letting me use it in Ireland.
Right.
So
I'll figure it out. I'll see it at some stage.
Yeah.
You look great in it, by the way. I thought it was the best part of the show.
Thanks.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
No problem. That's all I have. But it's great getting the chance to meet. It was great meeting you. I'm glad that we're all kind of friends now, and we can network and we can bounce things off each other. And
Absolutely,
it's great having you on the pod. Hopefully, this isn't the last time. Hopefully, we're going to put some other stuff.
No. I mean, there's always ideas. We could do a combined special. We could combine. Extreme ghost hunters talking to you guys and just sharing stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
That sort of thing. Yeah.
Or we could just go back to Scotland.
Yeah. Or you could do that as well. Yeah.
I did want to take an opportunity to share one of my favorite pictures from Loch Ness.
Oh boy.
And
yay!
Cool.
This was actually the moment that Rob and I went into Loch Ness, and it was very cold. And I was glad that he didn't put on the Speedo, because I did bring my bathing suit in case he was really going to go actually do it. And had he have put on the Speedo and gone there, I would have gone in the water and I would have froze my butt off. But I just think this is the best. This one just makes me laugh because we had the picture. I was proud of the picture. I showed everybody the picture. I'm like, look at this is so funny. It's so cold. We got our hands up in the air. And then later on in the trip, all of a sudden, Rob sent me this picture, and it just made me laugh so hard. So
I know. What are the chances the Loch Ness Monster was going to appear?
Yeah. Oh, do you guys know of a YouTube channel called Grim Life Collective?
No.
Oh.
Well, he came into. There's an episode called In Search of the Loch Ness Monster. He came into Nessieland.
Okay.
Oh, very cool. I have to take a look at that.
And they do one outside Alistair Crowley's place too. They were up here for about a week or so. He didn't interview me in it, but I'm the one that let him in. I said, "Yeah, go in, film away." Yeah,
very cool.
And that's worth checking out because they're at Dora's Beach. They're out front of the Loch Ness Centre. They wouldn't let him in because they wouldn't let him film in there or something. But I just said, "Yeah, you can come."
That's awesome. Anybody else?
Anybody else got anything?
I think we all had an amazing time though while we were there. I don't really have a favorite part. All I know is I would love to live there. So
Yep.
that would be like my wish to live somewhere like that. Marquis, there you are. I was like, I thought you were froze for a second.
Yeah, you did. It froze up for a second there.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to, when I play it back, I'll be able to check it. But
hang on, it's because my internet connection is like it's fluctuating. It's getting a bit
gotcha. Yeah. Well, we want to thank you so much. I know it's late for you over in Scotland. It's 9:30 at night for you. So
wait a minute. What about Brian and Amy? Do they got anything they want to ask? Because they didn't get a chance to ask anything yet.
Oh, I thought maybe I glitched out at that time. I said, does anybody have anything else? Sorry about that.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if they did. I don't know if they said yes or no. I just want to make sure that
everybody gets. No, but I am grateful for the chance that, to pop in and network, like Brian was saying. It's so cool to meet other people that like the same thing we do. We're in another country visiting. It's like, and, you reached out and said, hey, come on over. That's so cool. And thank you for reaching out to us for sure.
Well, it's my pleasure. Well, that's what I do. I always need. I love interacting with like-minded individuals. Yep. Thank you, guys.
Well, I wasn't there, unfortunately. However, if I was, I promise I would have put on the Speedo and gone in. Rich, back me. Tell me that I would not. I would have done it.
Yeah,
I've gone through screen doors before to win Capture the Flag.
I believe it.
I remember that day.
Yeah,
I mean, Brian, you sound really disappointed, and I can send you the picture. I just really didn't want to, be out there on live stream with my balls hanging out on YouTube. That was really it.
That's coward speak, Rob.
I've been trying to be nice about it, but that's
there was a lot of underball for
sure.
Trust me, you don't want your balls hanging out in that water.
No, probably not.
No.
Well, Nessie P.
If we go back, I'm going in. But I also think that when it comes to Loch Ness Monster and cryptids, and whenever we talk about that, for some reason, Loch Ness Monster always seems to be the most plausible I don't know if it's because we know that there's a connection to the sea between the loch. We know that there are animals in the ocean that can survive in fresh water and vice versa. And you go, we just don't know enough about what's in the ocean, let alone the loch, that it always seems so much more plausible for Loch Ness. And that's one of the things that has to keep it going with everybody. Yeah, you have all the hoaxes and all that kind of stuff. But underneath all of that, I think everybody kind of understands there's a lot we don't know that's under that water.
Absolutely.
And that's something that keeps you going.
Absolutely. But you guys have got Champ, don't you?
Yes.
Yes.
In Lake
But
Champlain.
that might be the Loch Ness Monster swimming through the tunnels too.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Our tunnel theory.
Yeah, I think that's where our tunnel theory originated from. Yeah.
Well, the one thing I was surprised about the Loch Ness when we went to the Loch End Beach was how clear the water was. So some of us brought water back home, and it literally just looks like I got water out of the tap, like just turned on the. I mean,
the water doesn't. Well, the water doesn't really go dark until you're like, because if you were to capture it in a vessel, it's always going to look clear. It's just the peat that goes into that. That's what causes the black water effect.
Right.
Yeah,
it was so wavy that first day. It was like the waves were brown, but when we went back to get the water in the bottle, it was clear.
You could see the bottom of the the beach area. You could see the bottom of the lake, but I mean not the deepest part, obviously, but I just there was like not even any contaminants. Like you could you hold the water up, there was no debris, nothing.
No. I still wouldn't drink it.
No.
Has tasted it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it delicious?
I don't know. I'd have to ask them, but yeah, they tasted it. I don't. Who was with Kez whenever they tasted it?
I was there, and you just kept saying, "Don't do that! Don't do that! Don't drink that!" And Kez did anyhow.
Did they make a face? Was it gross? I don't.
No. They just what?
Well, at least there was no sickness. Everybody was good.
But now they can breathe underwater. It's weird.
That's it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this episode. And
thank you for inviting me.
Giving us some more knowledge and telling us everything that you got going on. We'd love to have you back, collaborate again in the future. Let's stay in touch. We can
absolutely
do some more episodes together. We'd love to have you on.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
everybody.
Thank you.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Bye.
Yeah. Peace out. Thank you very much.
Okay. Big